Since the last, I want to say since the last podcast, like since a few podcasts ago, I beat Devil May Cry. If you follow me on twitch.tv/theblack Hokage, you would know that. Follow me on Twitch. I beat Devil May Cry 5. Really dope game. If you're unfamiliar with how I'm going to do these reviews in the podcast, I wrote down some positives and some negatives. I'm gonna give a final recommendation, and my recommendation is based off the current price of the game, and I looked it up before I started recording. The current price on Amazon is $60. So that's how I'm gonna do it. I listened to y'all feedback. I'm gonna try to stay on point and just get to my negatives and my positives and my negatives. So we could just knock it out of the way. So Devil May Cry 5, Dante's back alongside his son Nero and then V. I'm gonna be honest, let's go ahead and just talk about the story. I don't know what the fuck was going on in the story in this game. I looked it up. Devil May Cry 4 came out in 2008. And to be honest, I did not remember what the fuck happened. And it sucks too, because, and this is my fault, so I don't want anybody thinking that I'm knocking the story, because I was still somehow entertained by the story, even though I didn't know what was going on. It was probably because the voice acting was really good and the cutscenes were really good. And this is one of those, this game was very well produced. That's like the first compliment I can give. But anyway, I don't know what happened in the story, because Devil May Cry 4 came out in 2008 and I don't remember what happened. And there was a what is it called, a synopsis at the beginning, a summary that tells you what happens in the previous games. But apparently I accidentally clicked past it and I was too lazy to watch it again. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to go into this blind and press buttons. And I'm going to be honest, if you watch me on twitch.tv/theblack Hokage, extraordinary things happen when I press buttons. So it seemed like the story was good. I don't know. The good news is I don't play Devil May Cry for the story. So let's get into the gameplay. Like I said, the first compliment, visuals, looks great. Second compliment for Devil May Cry, or positive, there are 3 playable characters in this one. You got Dante, Nero, and V. Oh my god. Okay, so Nero, he plays a little bit slower. He's more heavy hitting, and then he has like this mechanical arm with all these different abilities that you constantly unlock. He was honestly my least favorite to play out of the 3. A lot of people in the Twitch chat told me that was their favorite, but I think it comes down to preference. I personally didn't like him just because I feel like, I don't know, like his personality contradicted his fighting style. He was like a shit talker, kind of like Dante, and like he ran fast, but then like he swung really slow, and his dodge mechanic was kind of weird. Like he wasn't terrible. I don't want anybody saying that he was. I don't want anybody thinking that I think he was actually a terrible character. He was just my least favorite out of the 3. I caught myself thinking, okay, when can I get past this Nero section? My second favorite character to play was V. He's the range character. What's the name? He can summon this like panther, this black panther. Shout out to T'Challa. Yeah, so he can summon T'Challa, and he can summon this bird that like speaks to him. They both like demon birds and kitty cats. They can speak to him, and he attacks from like a range. And I was told that he's the easiest character to play. I don't know how true that is, because a lot of people in my Twitch chat said that they had a lot of trouble playing him. He is a little weird at first, compared to the other 2 characters. But personally, I took a liking to him just because, at least when I play like MOBAs, I know MOBAs have nothing to do with Devil May Cry, but just hear me out. When I play MOBAs, I usually play tank or like range characters, and I just naturally tend to be good with range characters, because when it comes to range characters, it's all about spacing and timing. So I was naturally just kind of good with V, and so I enjoyed playing him a little bit more. But my favorite character to play was Dante. Dante has like a million. I honestly, if I could, I would have preferred to play Dante the whole fucking game, especially because he had the most weapons in the game, the most abilities that you can cipher through, and it made him the most complicated character to play. He was so much more complicated to play compared to the other 2 characters, because he had so many different options. I don't want to say complicated, but versatile, and you wanted to spend more time trying to mix it up and master his combos. And because he had so much versatility, in my opinion, he was a lot more fun to play. Like this dude, at any moment you could be slashing someone with a sword, and then you could pull out a motorcycle on the ride and run people over and shit. And he had like these boxing gloves, these demonic boxing gloves that you could knock motherfuckers out. He was just a lot of fun to play. He was breakdancing all over the floor. He had a cowboy hat with a fucking lasso and shit. That shit was fire, bro. The shit was fire playing as Dante, and that's kind of one of my compliments. Like there's 3 characters, and each character plays vastly different, and it gives a nice little spice of variety, and I think there's something there for everybody. And what was really dope about the 3 characters that is in the game, I think it only happened once or twice, but there's moments in the game where like you get to pick and choose who you want to play. You can play as either V or Nero, and there's like a branching path, so there's like some replayability there, which we'll get into later. Yeah, so Third positive. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm not giving any negatives, because I only have one negative, so we're kind of just going down. I mostly only have positive shit to say about this game. Spoiler alert. I'm just gonna be running down the positives, and then the one negative I'm gonna give it at the end. My third positive is the combo system. I mean, it's Devil May Cry. This game is all about creating combos, doing sick shit, juggling people in the air, and combining your guns with your different abilities, and just seeing how long you can go until you can get that S tier, that SS or that triple S tier. It's all about the style, and that's another thing, like pulling off a sick combo and then hitting the style button and doing a taunt to taunt your enemies. It's a lot of fun to pull off these sick combos, and it just does it does a really good job of making you feel like a badass. If anything, Devil May Cry 5, it made me wish that there were more hack and slash games, because this is one of my favorite genres of games, and I feel like it's very underrepresented in 2019 and in other recent years. Platformers and hack and slash games, I love them. But it's not like it still takes skill, because you have to sit there and learn the timing of the different moves and how to create stylish combos. So it's stylish, but it's still skill based, and I really appreciate that, and that's why I love games like this and Bayonetta. So shout out to the combo system. And there's a lot of customization in the combo system. You collect red orbs, and then whenever you reach a checkpoint, the chick pulls up in the van, and you can customize and pick new abilities and upgrade them. So you're constantly unlocking things, and it constantly feels like the game does a good job of constantly making you feel like you're accomplishing something and unlocking new moves, which I appreciate. And I might as well just talk about it. It was the last thing that I had on the positives, but that the combo system kind of goes into the replayability, because the combo system is so intricate. You want to actually master it, and it's gonna have you, if you actually care about this stuff, it's gonna make you want to replay the game over and over and over. Especially because, another positive, there are dope boss fights in the game. Boss fights where the scaling is very big. I like boss fights where you fight big ass monsters and creatures and shit, and it's like big. It feels like the world is against you, and the game does a really good job of that. There were some ones that I didn't like. There were ones that I enjoyed more than others, but the boss fights were sick in this game, and mainly because I enjoy the scaling of the boss fights. They're really big creatures that you had to learn how to dodge and combo up, and each one required its own different strategy. And they weren't hard, but they weren't easy. It was that nice little difficulty if you were playing on normal. And this is my last positive. This one's gonna be kind of weird, but this game is short. I know. Whoa, why would that be a compliment? The game is short. That's a positive for me. I'm sorry. At 28 years old, and older folks can probably, if you're not older and you're listening to this, you'll probably never understand this, but I'm sick and tired of every game being 100 fucking hours. It was nice to play a 12 to 15 hour game that was super polished. I didn't encounter any fucking bugs. It was visually great. The voice acting was great. I knew where to go, and I could just focus on the gameplay mechanics, and it always felt like I could finish it. I appreciated that it was short, and it kind of feeds into my other compliment I was talking about with the replayability. Because it's short and the combo system is intricate, the game is more so about learning the combos and being stylish and just growing your combat repertoire. I sound like it's like repertoire. Basically, it's a Devil May Cry game. If you've played Devil May Cry, I mean, you kind of know what to expect here. It's Devil May Cry. If you haven't played one, it's a hack and slash game, and the combo system is something that you need to master. But I really enjoy the fact that the game is short. I know that's weird. My one negative for the game is the camera. This is probably gonna piss some people off. Some people are gonna disagree with me, but the camera was 50-50 in this game, and it more so became a problem in A, when you were fighting large swarms of enemies, and B, during boss fights it could be annoying, but only certain boss fights, not all of them. But with the large swarm of enemies, the camera could be a pain in the ass, because it's like the semi-fixed camera. I don't want to say it's fixed, because you can turn it at any time. It just spazzes out mainly when you're like close to like corners or walls. A lot of times if you get swarmed, the camera will just spaz out and it doesn't know what it wants to do, and you're trying to focus on dodging. And then it's especially bad when like an enemy's behind you and you can't, there's like no type of indication or anything like that. The camera will just spaz out. And there's like one boss fight, it was fucking awful. You had to fight this big ass like machine with like 8 legs or some shit like that, and the camera was just spazzing out because you had to scale the thing, and that shit was just a pain in the ass. But I mean, some people would argue at this point that's the charm of Devil May Cry, or that's just what Devil May Cry is. I guess it's kind of hard for me to like adjust to that game's camera because I love Bayonetta 2 so much, and I feel like the camera in that game was much better. But I guess it comes down to preference. I just thought the camera, it was 50-50. I'm not saying it was flat out terrible, but there are going to be moments where I feel like you're going to be annoyed. And I talked to other people and they said the same thing. There's going to be moments where you're going to be annoyed with the camera because at points it can get very fixed, or it'll just spaz out on you because it doesn't know what to do. But all in all, that's honestly me nitpicking. The game is very polished. The voice acting, the combat, the visuals, the customization, the multiple characters, it's all really good. It's almost baffling that it's like I was making notes for this and I was like, I don't really have much negative to say about this game, and that's really weird to say in 2019 because a lot of games be launching with so many problems. Like, it's just refreshing to play a game that really didn't have many problems, and you could tell this was a labor of love. And in my opinion, Devil May Cry 5 is easily one of the best games of 2019. I don't know if I want to call it a game of the year contender yet because we're still a little bit early in the year, but don't be surprised if it's like a top 10, top 5. I like the game. It's easy for me to recommend Devil May Cry 5. If the game is $60, I recommend it. If you're listening to this and the point it's $30, I recommend it. It's a lot of fun to play. But you know what? I'll say this. My recommendation is yes and no. If you love hack and slash games and you know you're going to replay it a lot and try to master the combo system, then yeah, get it for 60. But if you know you're just going to play through it once because the game is short, maybe wait till it's $30. That doesn't make it a bad game. I'm just letting y'all know ahead of time that the game is short. It's going to take you like 10 to 15 hours to beat it, depending on your skill level. Unless you're absolutely trash, then it might take you 20. I think it took me like 12 hours to beat the game. What's the name? So yeah, like if you know you're just gonna play through it once and then put it down, then maybe wait till the price drops. But if you love hack and slash games like me, then absolutely this game is worth $60. It's one of the best games of the year. So shout out to Devil May Cry 5. Nothing but mostly positive shit to say about it. And those are my thoughts on Devil May Cry 5.
Hey, thanks for watching my video. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you'll never miss another video. Also, consider pledging my Patreon. It helps keep the lights on. There's a link in the description box below. Peace.